Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to the Africa Landlord Academy. I am the Africa's landlord, and I believe that every human can be given the opportunity to own, use, and benefit from the fair share of the earth in a lifetime without having to lose a life or take a life for it. Because poverty is vanity. Here we teach you how to make the right decision when it comes to investing, how to use your money wisely so that you don't have to run to people seeking for help every now and then. A single decision can ruin your life. Today, I met a client recently, and he was like, instead of buying land, I would rather build a house and live in the house and all of that. First off, I want you to understand that the moment the cost of building, building and managing a property or a house outweighs the benefit, the moment this cost is greater than the benefit you get from the property, that property is a liability. Get this in your head. The moment the cost of building and managing a property, we have some people that have built houses that are extravagantly big, luxury homes, and then they spend roughly about 4 million every year, some of them 1.5 million every year, trying to manage this property. What's the difference between this and living in golf estates where you have to pay rent? Maybe it's a 3-bedroom house and you're paying 2 million every year. What's the difference? So some people spend so much putting into their comfort and they don't even think about cash flow. Cash flow. Or what we call residual income. These two things are more important than comfort at any point in your life. Gone are the days when your parents will tell you that for you to be a man, you need to build a house and live in the house. No, gone are those days. Now you can be comfortable being a tenant. But all you need is that wherever you put your money, more cash should come from there. That is what we call cash flow. Or you should have residual income that at the end of every month or the end of every year, you get something coming in. So today, I am going to be teaching you how you will be able to generate cash flow for yourself. Now, we're going to take two persons as case study. One, for the sake of this class, we're using ladies. One is Sandra, and number two is Jane. Now, Sandra believes that to be able to live well as a person, she must build a house for herself and live in the house. Jane believes that cash flow is life. Cash flow is king. Now let's see how these two persons end up at the end of the day. Sandra wants to build a 3-bedroom house for herself. She has called an architect, and the architect has told her that to build a 3-bedroom house is going to cost her 11 million. And they've told Jane the same thing too, that to build a 3-bedroom house is going to cost her 11 million. So let's say the two of them, they have 15 million as a whole to their name. This one has 15 million and this one has 15 million too. The two of them. Sandra has 15 million, Jane has 15 million. She wants to build a 3-bedroom house and it's going to cost her 11 million. And she wants to buy a land in a place that is developed at least. So she decides to go to SAS Road. We're using Port Harcourt for this case study. She decides to go to SAS Road and buy a land. And the land is going to cost her 4 million naira for the land. 4 million naira for the land plus 11 million. That is the 15 million. But Jen thinks otherwise. Jen says, no, I'm not going to go with Sandra. Sandra is my friend, but I'm not going to respect that, her opinion of building a house and living in it. So Jane decides to invest 10 million in, let's take, for example, around the Port Harcourt International Airport, EPO, that is selling for 500,000 for a plot. She decides to invest it. So she gets 20 plots of land. in Ipo for 500,000 per plot. And so she bought 10 million naira worth of land. And then she goes to, say, Odili Road. She gets a cute apartment for 1 million naira per year. And then she pays for 5 years with the remaining 5 million. She uses 5 million to pay for an apartment for 5 years. Now, this is what happens. In the world of cash flow and residual income, increase is very important because every single day you wake up, inflation robs you of your funds. What happens to Sandra is that Sandra is already using her money. She has eaten the money for herself. You just sink down. You are not growing the money. You have consumed the money by building comfort for yourself. And what has happened to Jane? Jane has invested her money, but she still has comfort because the remaining 5 million she has used it to rent a place that she is living comfortably. That's the same thing that Sandra is enjoying. But in this case, one person weighed this option and choose this side, and the other person choose the other side. So what happens after 5 years? This land that Jane bought for 500,000 is now being sold for 1.5 million per plot. But remember, there's nothing coming in for Sandra because Sandra is not even a landlady. She cannot rent out the house except she's doing Airbnb. Airbnb, how much can you make from Airbnb? But now she's selling each plot for 1.5 million naira. So let's do the maths. 1.5 million times 10 is going to be 15 million times 2 because it's 20 plots. Take note, times 2 is going to be 30 million naira. Now, take note. She lived in the same comforts, probably one of the best environments because she might go to Gulf Estate and rent this apartment and live in it. The same comforts. Did her investment, and she's still making cash flow at the end of the day. But now what happened to Sandra? Sandra had eaten her money. She has consumed the money. There's no cash flow. There's no residual income. So at the end of the day, frustration begins to set in. That is why, as real estate experts, we advise you that instead of seeking for comfort first, search for cash flow. Go for residual income first, especially as a young person. The only reason I'll advise you to go for comfort is if your risk tolerance level has dropped, meaning that you are aged. You just retired from your work and you need comfort for yourself for the remaining part of your life. That is when I'll advise. But as a young person, we will not advise that you build luxury apartments for yourself, that you build comfort for yourself. Go for cash flow first. Because when there is cash flow, you can wake up one morning and decide to buy any house of your choice and you buy it. Thank you for being a part of this class. And